My grandfather and great-grandfather were both cowboys, and I followed my grandfather everywhere. They ran a cow camp in the mountains in the summertime, and during the school summer vacation, I would go spend all my summers in the mountains with cattle. So horses were my life. It's been my lifestyle. I had opportunities to play football and baseball both in a pretty large league, but I didn't love that lifestyle as much as I did this one. So therefore, I chose to train horses, and I rodeoed some and still rope some. I won a lot of championships at Hackamore in the bridle, mostly with the Reined Cowhorse. Kathy and I are the only husband and wife team to win the Snaffle Futurity. And I had the first stud bridle horse to win the Open A bridle in 1983. And so I've just I've loved the training and the riding. And the latter years, Kathy's been a really good show person, and so I like to train better than I like to show. So she'd show more than I did, and I'd do some training. So we moved here to Oklahoma about 6 months ago. We love it very much, and so we're going to continue our lifestyle, just not as in a high degree as we've done in the past. I took a snaffle bidder to in 1975 to Reno. That's the first year it was there. It was Reno Park, actually. And so I had bought a little horse from a friend of mine, and we stayed partners on it actually until after I showed it, and then I went ahead and bought it. But he was just a horse, and in those days you had to make a horse a little more than today. You have to teach them and train them and ride them, but you don't have to make them. They're just exceptional horses. But anyway, so I showed him at the Futurity then. Didn't do that well, but then I brought him home, tried to put him in the Hackamore. He didn't go in the Hackamore, so I went ahead and bridled him, and I had taken him up to Don Murphy, and he helped me with him some. And then my big break there was I won the horse trials on him in the bridle that following year. So he was only a 4-year-old in the bridle because he just didn't have enough nose. Don Murphy was one that in fact my brother built saddles, and Don was going to college there at Fresno State, and so he was training horses there, and so I knew him as a youngster, and actually he's 3 or 4 years younger than I am, but I was younger then. And anyway, so I got to know Don real well, and then when I had went to work for Monty Roberts for 4 years in San Ynez, and when I came out of that place, then I started training some on my own. So then I went, and you always have to have help, to learn. And there's things that he did that maybe didn't fit my program, but there's a whole lot of it that was. And maybe you didn't use it today, but you'd use it tomorrow or the next day or next year. Benny Gatrone was another one that we hauled together the year that he had the little smoke mare, Kit Smoke, and I had a really good Hackamore mare, and it was like nip and tuck. We were hauling together for the world, and it's funny because those two mares, when they'd see each other, they'd nicker at each other because they'd been hauled so much. But he was one that he'd root for you on the side, and and then, you know, try to go beat you. But he'd be rooting for you if you beat him. And he helped me an awful lot. And Stan Fonson and Jack Hitchings. There's been Ronnie Richards and Bobby Ingersoll were mentors that didn't know it. You know, Johnny Brazil. I can just go on forever on those. Harry Rose was, I mean, a great showman, and he was fun to watch train horses. Of course, Don Dodge is unbelievable, and those are people that I knew, and Greg Ward also, but those are people that I knew and was able to watch, and you know, you could take a lot from watching. The person that talks a lot ought to spend some time listening, you know. In years past, you could have a horse go to the Snaffle Bit Futurity and do well if he was really good in 2 events, and I can get through that other event. So in other words, he wasn't that good. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't real good. Today, you got to be great in every event, meaning that he's got to be a cutter, competitive, he's got to be a competitive reiner, and he's got to be a competitive down the fencer. And those are the difference between great horses and not so great. You've got to have that, you've got to have them, number one, good-minded, athletic, strong, and there's a lot of variables that go involved in there, but because nowadays there's so much money to be won that people are asking an awful lot of these young horses. And when you go and sit and watch the Snaffle Bit Futurity or the reining or the cutting and watch what 3-year-olds do, they do as much as any open horse going. I mean, they're that pretty and that physical. And it's, so that being said, the great horses do great things. Probably a Snaffle Bit Futurity, you know. Number one, there's been a few guys that have won it twice, but there's a lot of them that haven't won it at all, that are great hands. And so to have that in your pocket, it was pretty special, pretty special. And then to have your wife win also, I mean, to me at that time it just didn't get any better than that. I did have a filly out of her that I made the finals on in 2003, I think. So it kind of repeated. I made the finals on her, but obviously we didn't do as well as her mama did, but it was fun doing it. Favorite moments on a horse? Well, I can tell you that I remember it as well as a kid, because we'd go back to the cow camp and we'd stay, and it took us about 3 hours to get from the cabins at the end of the road to the cabins back in the mountains. And you're about 8,000 feet, and it's beautiful, it's clean, it's, you remember the meadows, and you know, it was, those were things you'd not think about anything, you know. They were just really fun times, and you often think about that a lot of people didn't have the opportunity to see those kind of sights, you know, deer, and it was wonderful. In this business, you never learn it all. You learn, at my age right now, I'm still learning things. And that's because I've got an open mind, and I've always wanted to learn and always wanted to get better. But from those days there, I learned how to rate cattle, I learned how to weigh cattle, I learned how to hurry them up, I learned how to back off, and so as far as training cow horses and cutting horses, why, it was a great experience in my background to know when to back off and when to hurry up. I think working hard, and something that I loved. Being able to get some individually good horses to be able to show. Marrying that woman right there. I get emotional if I say too much. Find somebody that you really like to ride with, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a trainer. It could be another non-pro or another person that you get along with that knows more than you do, and you can go and enjoy it and ride with them and kind of learn from them. And as you get up to where their level and you want more, then you better go find somebody that you really like, that you can go learn some more about the horse business. Get higher, higher, and higher, because once you start in this business, once you start learning and grasping things, you start snowballing, because you can't get enough information. You know, you're having so much fun, and when it starts working, when you can start feeling things that are working well, then they can't stop you. You know, you just keep going, and it's that much fun. So people that want to get in ride and be in this part of the business, just jump in.